Good morning, everyone. On a beautiful Saturday morning, I, Shefali Sangal, on behalf of all women-led organizations, Women Entrepreneur Network, MetaConnect Consulting, Startup Buddy, and Young Minds, welcome all our prestigious speakers and wonderful audience to this panel discussion. How do women deal with challenges amidst professional growth? We all have dealt with one or the other challenge with us while growing professionally. So let's hear our panelists today. We have picked up some common challenges faced by women. I would request you all to put your queries in the chat box if you have any. So to begin with, let me introduce our moderator of the day, Ms. Aparajita Prasad. Please raise your hand so that people know you.
Yeah.
She is an IIM Ahmedabad alumni, renowned corporate leader and subject matter expert. She is an investor and mentor to startup and on advisory board of many incubators. She has been recently chosen as State Director, Uttar Pradesh for International Council of Technology, Management and Applied Engineering and Chambers of MSME. She was awarded as Prima Donna Women of Substance 2020 for her contributions. So we welcome you, Prajita, and over to you now.
Thank you, Shefali. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. And I'm really privileged to be hosting this chat today. And topics surrounding women growth has always been dear to me. So on the very first note, a very warm good morning and a great Saturday to all of you. Collectively, the panel together that we have today has more than 100 years of experience. Isn't that credible? 100 powerful years of experience from the women is what we are bringing today as a panel. So let me welcome you all one by one, our panelists, and then I'll take this forward. So today we have Debjani Roy, Vatsala Banerji, and Anuradha Yadav. So Debjani Roy, she's an industry stalwart and comes with over 25 years of experience. She has worked with many companies that we can even imagine. That they constitute likes of Nalco, Bharti, HCL, Bentley, Keone, SRL Diagnostic, just to name a few. There are a lot more to her accolades. She has been a TEDx speaker and a strategic partner to board of many of the HR directives. So welcome, Debjani ma'am. Please raise your hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Vatsala Banerji. Vatsala comes with around 20 years of experience in L&D. She has worked with Styria, Cadence, GMR. She is also a part of our rich IIM Lucknow campus and part of the great IIM community. So she is currently managing one of the centers, development and L&D development centers at one of the prime institutes. So welcome, Vatsala.
Hi, everyone.
And we have Anuradha Yadav, who again comes with a rich experience of 20 years. She is from manufacturing industries and has worked with likes of Krishna Maruti, D Diamond, Electric India, and she is also into the TEDx Technology Private Limited, and she is a certified POSH consultant. So together we have a rich plethora of experiences and people from different verticals and platforms that we are together on today. And like I said, people across with more than 20 years, 25 years, and with me and Shefali coming together with constituting a little bit of 15-20 years. That's where I said we are around 100 years of women experience on our platform today. So that gives us a good time to discuss how it takes to grow on the corporate ladder, not just the corporate ladder, anything where the women grow and take over and the challenges faced by them. So the first speaker that I would like to welcome would be Debjani ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shefali and Aparajita. I think it was the very fact that you came up with this topic was exciting enough for me to say yes, even before elaborating what exactly we'll get into it. Women, I think enough research has already gone into it. We have enough of the HBR articles. We have enough of McKinsey's and, the BCG reports, which tell us that the women species is a very genuinely unique species. Starting from the fact that we are anatomically much more stronger than the male fraternity because we bear the progenies, we bear the child. psychologically and anatomically, we are far more stronger. A fact which we always try and overlook, primarily because the physical brawn part of it comes forth, and generally it's a misnomer that men, because they can, flex a few biceps more, they are probably the more stronger ones. I beg to disagree. Having said that, somewhere this road or the journey of women across the world into various fields, whether you call it the corporate, whether you call it the academia, whether you call it the small, medium sectors, whether you call it the entrepreneurial journeys, as well as just simply being a homemaker. I think none of those roads have ever been smooth and without being fraught with its own tribulations. Somewhere down the line, despite the fact that we do genuinely a brilliant piece of work, we consider to be a species which is more dedicated, which has a lot of tenacity. Women are known to hunt like tigresses. If we put our, focus onto something, wherewithal we will go all out to achieve it. I think it has been proved over and over again that determination and tenacity is something which is unique to us. A lot of high positions, a lot of sensitive positions where empathy, where compassion, where ability to work into mixed cultures, all of those kind of situations have proven again that women fit into those kind of roles far better. But having said all that, there still remains a bit of an if and a what at the end of those journeys. Somewhere down the line, the moment the woman is seen to be somebody who's clocking success, is rising the ladder in the same way, rubbing shoulders with the men, asking not for privileges, but the same rights and benefits as will come with the job, just like every other being who is vying for it, they are seen as direct competition, and a lot of insecurity and a lot of uncertainty is bred in the, in the environment. And I wonder why. Because at the end of the day, I feel that there is space for everyone. There is scope for everyone, and there is a lot of merit which, by compatible working together, we can bring to the fold. We can actually create a lot of centers of excellence by pooling in the reserves and the competencies together. But yet, women are always seen as a threat. In my 26 years of corporate career, believe you me, I have personally experienced many of those. And despite the fact that one has, struggled, one has fought, one has somewhat, not with aggression, but assertion, being able to come around to those situations. One has used guile, one has used all kinds of mechanisms. But at the end of the day, it leaves you fatigued, it leaves you exhausted. So I would really like to understand and hear from my compatriot on this journey today. Exactly, is it only my experience, or is it something which is probably experienced by all of us, in some form or the other? So Aprajita, to set the tone for this discussion, I think that's where I leave it for now. And as we go along, we'll probably get a chance to explore more and more of this.
Sure, well, that was wonderful. You brought together many points that, even after we have been doing a lot more than the challenges, but a lot more to cater to when we go into the professional world, even at the same time handling our house chores. So it is what we've seen as that, how could somebody do much better than us? And that's what brings to a lot of disparity. So I would pass the baton to Vatsala now. Vatsala, what's your take to these things?
I would second Debjani here on it. And if you really look at in today's world, women in senior leadership role globally has been increasing, incrementally. However, still, the challenges stay the same. While we are trying to get up the ladder, the challenges are increasing day by day. If I just quote some figures, in 2017, there were 7% of the women who were there in the senior management role. 2018, it gained up to 20%. 2019, it was 29%. However, the main factor, is concerning is many of these women leaders or women, when they start working, they kind of leave their jobs as they reach to the middle level, or being at the senior level, they do compromise with the positions which are there. They don't want to get to the C position due to a lot of hindrances, a lot of barriers which are there. Now, those barriers could be, they say, because of the culture part that is there, the EI part, the emotional intelligence, and the social economical factor. While women needs to be the bread earner today, we talk about wheels of a vehicle, right? दो पहिए की गाड़ी की बोलते एक पहिया women है एक पहिया men है. That's what they say. However, the role that women today are actually showcasing or playing is multifold. It's multifaceted role that they are playing. They are not only the bread owners, but they are also caregivers, and they can't compromise on any of the roles. Yeah. So
true.
And I think it's sheer willpower and sheer the support system that they build themselves around that makes them go up the ladder. Now we as women really need to work hard in terms of creating that kind of an empowering environment around us. Maybe through workshops, maybe through educating employees, maybe working on the emotional intelligence of self first, and then the others, because it is first the self. Yeah, we need to get away with the fears and every other thing that is stopping us from taking up the ladder, because we goes in a lot of ifs and buts, being as a caregiver and the breadwinner. So I think that's where I would want to leave this discussion here, and Anuradha will discuss more.
So Vatsala, like you said, it's really challenging to manage both. So now, just taking a quick bite from Anuradha ma'am, and then we would circle back.
Sure.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. So rightly, Ms. Roy and Vatsala, they said, even they covered all the things that were the part for the women. So Roy actually covered that the females only they have the gap that due to the physical like the difference between the men and women. Otherwise, जो हमारी फीमेल्स हैं वो सबसे आगे हैं, चाहे वो काम के मामले में, चाहे वो घर के मामले में, चाहे वो सोशल के मामले में, हर तरह आगे हैं. लेकिन अगर फिजिकल चीजें देखी जाए तो ही थोड़ा सा हमारे जो मेल कैंडिडेट हैं वो थोड़ा सा फिजिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, अदरवाइज हमारी जो फीमेल्स हैं वो हर तरह से आगे हैं. जैसा कि वात्सल्या ने भी अगर जो डेटा इन्होंने कहा कि अभी भी देखा जाए तो ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड ओनली 3.69% जो फीमेल्स हैं वो लीडरशिप क्वालिटी में ही आ रहे हैं. सो डेफिनेटली बीइंग ए फीमेल हमें बहुत सारे चैलेंज फेस करने पड़ते हैं, मे बी चाहे वो सोशल हो, चाहे वो कॉर्पोरेट्स में हो, चाहे वो आपकी फैमिली में हो. सो हमें उससे डेफिनेटली फीमेल्स को आगे बढ़ के आना है. और उन चैलेंजेस को कई बार क्या है कि फीमेल्स भी खुद भी लाइक मैं अगर कॉर्पोरेट की बात करना चाहूँ या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की बात करना चाहूँ तो सिर्फ हम लोग ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट तक ही रह जाते हैं. सो फीमेल्स को भी आगे आना चाहिए कि यस मेरा जो IR पार्ट है या मेरे जो डीलिंग में भी डे एंड नाइट्स वट एवर द टाइम्स फॉर द 24 आवर्स 365 days we have to come out. So sometimes कई बार हम लोग कहते हैं कि सोशल डिस्टेंस ओनली मेल की तरफ से है. बीइंग ए फीमेल हमें भी इन सब चीजों को उभर कर आगे आना चाहिए. कई बार क्या कि लेट आवर्स हैं या हम कहते हैं कि हमें नहीं मे बी लोकल ट्रेवल है, मेरे बच्चे हैं, मेरी फैमिली है, मेरे को उसको देखना है. और कई बार क्या है कि इवन लेट आवर्स हैं तो लेट आवर्स में भी आपको मैनेज करना है, लेकिन सेफली आप कैसे उसको मैनेज कर सकते हो उन सब चीजों. क्योंकि बीइंग ए लाइक सपोज एम्प्लॉयर वो ये सोचते हैं कि अगर फीमेल को हम रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दे दें लाइक में भी लेट आवर्स में वो कैसे मैनेज करेंगे.
वेरी ट्रू. अनुराधा मैम, you have covered a few बहुत ही important points, and we would deliberate on each one of them in detail. आपने बहुत important points लाए, be it social distancing and not the COVID related social distancing, but the work related social distancing. Then you talked about the the long hours or the shift or the timing part of things. So and then the related part of it, what comes into the kind of responsibility being given to females because of these prejudices that they have in mind. So ये सारी points को जो आपने उठाया, let's get into each one of these in detail. So Debjani ma'am, what's your take on to these things? How should we deal, or how is it taken into the systems when we talk about these social distancing or the distance that we should maintain, and how much is too much when we talk about these things into these gender ratios? Ma'am, you're on mute.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. So back into the debate again, and this, you've brought out a very, very interesting topic as to how much is too much.
Yes.
My next question is, who is the judge? Who is the person who's going to be judge of that? Have we given the moral conscience to citizens today? Have we put a crown on the heads of people, especially in the professional world, who are there to sit and have a judgment on each one of us? Let me tell you, Aprajita, I started my career in a hardcore manufacturing sector. Just like Anuradha ji ne bataya, I was part of the NALCO management training scheme, and that was part of the Maharatnas at that time. I was not even from Orissa. As you know, NALCO is a primarily Orissa-based company. And having gone out from Delhi, the first thing that I felt was that perception management was a very important thing that needs to be bred when it comes to women workers. The very fact that I had gone out from Delhi to work in a place like Bhubaneswar, and my first posting was in a rural belt like Anagol, okay, in a smelting unit. You should have seen the kind of remarks and the concepts and the pictures that were being drawn by people apart, that isko kya aata hoga, ye to modern hai, ye to jeans pehen ke she's strutting around. So that was the start of the career. Now, two of the things that I did immediately was to start wearing overalls. Okay, I shed my women clothes and I started wearing overalls. And the same colored overalls as the supervisors and the workmen in the smelting unit. The second thing I did was learn Odia. Because I realized that if you could not converse in the language of the land, you were never going to gain credibility, and especially in human resources. You know, I mean, they were not going to speak to you in English or Hindi. Correct. So a lot of it also depends on us. Let's not run away from it. When we pick up responsibilities, especially in responsible areas like human resource, where the touch points is not a balance sheet or a marketing budget, but a human psychology, you're dealing with human psychology day in and day out, you need to figure out for yourself that exactly how is it that you're going to establish rapport? How is it that you're going to actually extend yourself to people? And believe you me, once I took upon myself to do those things with the help of certain enabling colleagues of mine who also helped a very nice part in helping me in that initial journey, I never looked back. You know, winning the credibility of people, getting into wage negotiations, sitting down with them, having the chai in the coolers, you know, talking in their language, it all fell in place.
To become one among them, right?
To become one. You were no longer a thumb which was sticking out. You had become part of them. Right. So it's important for HR fraternity to become a part of the larger mass.
So ma'am, yahan pe, we are not talking about the HR fraternity as such, but when we talk about the generalist thing, you know, as from a gender perspective, you know, the distance that we maintain, that how much is too much when we talk about it, till what level we should let that corporates or maybe in the politics also, or any sphere of things, you know, what is it that, you know, should be okay and should be allowed, and what is not as okay, what should be done? How would the industry take it?
I was just coming to that. Once you break the barriers in the corporate sector and you say to yourself, oh, I'm in a very nice, I'm at least in a comfort place. The next immediate challenge comes to you is from back home. Because the smile on your face and the ability to, you know, to walk into your workplace with a smile every morning suddenly starts irking people back home, because they start realizing, oh, is this a more comfortable zone for this lady? So tomorrow, is she going to stop working for the children? Tomorrow, is she going to say that I don't have time to give back? So that is when the judgment starts. That, you know, and that is where your question becomes very pertinent, is who is to judge how much is too much for me, whether it is as a homemaker or whether it is as a professional. That starts the dilemma of the work journey for a woman. And I haven't seen anybody who's managed to escape this one.
Correct. So quickly, your take, Anuradha ji.
Yes. Actually, Roy rightly said, actually I am experienced with like the Krishna Maruti. So when I joined the Krishna Maruti, maybe 20 companies, around 5,000 employees. I am only the single female. When I enter for the interview, there is no female toilet. When I join the manufacturing company in Binola industrial area, there is female toilet. तो अब ये बात करें कि सोशल डिस्टेंस की हमें कहाँ कैसे फेस करना पड़ता है, राइटली मिस रॉय ने कहा कि क्योंकि वहां पे मेरे यहाँ पे इवन यूनियंस थी कि वेज सेटलमेंट उन्हीं के बीच में वहाँ पे प्लांट्स हैं, आपके सीनियर मोस्ट जो भी कलीग्स हैं, प्लांट्स हेड्स हैं, देन इवन सीईओ हैं, सीएफओ हैं, उनके बीच में आप अपने को कैसे प्रूव करते हो सोशल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करते हुए। सो विद इन 6 मंथ जिन मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर्स ने ये कहा था कि मेरे यहाँ पे कोई फीमेल की एंट्री नहीं है, विद इन 6 मंथ प्रमोशंस, मेरे को बीइंग ए डिपार्टमेंट हेड प्रमोट किया गया और उसके बाद में वहां पे एंट्री हुई। लेकिन सोशल कहते हैं कि कमेंट लोग बात क्या है, ऐसा 6 महीने में क्या हुआ कि मैडम डिपार्टमेंट नहीं चाहिए। हेलो अपराजिता?
यस, आई कैन हियर यू।
यस, तो वो होते ना कि कमेंट्स और सोशल डिस्टेंस कैसे मेंटेन करो, कि ऐसा क्या हुआ कि 6 महीने में मैडम एचओडी बन गई डिपार्टमेंट की। लेकिन वो आपकी जो स्ट्रगल, जो काम किया, जो चीजें मतलब जो चीजें चैलेंजिंग थी, इवन मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर्स आपके लिए कि कोई फीमेल के लिए एंट्री नहीं थी।
बिल्कुल 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 बिल्कुल।
Then second like the when I joined the like the in this automobile in Diamond Electric in the Bawal zone, Dharaweda, and there is no female leader for the HR head for the IR. So I was the first like the female HR head in this area. So मेल्स के क्या कमेंट आते हैं कि क्या इस कंपनी को कोई मेल कैंडिडेट नहीं मिले थे?
Right. So Anuradha ma'am, on that quick note, I'm just taking a pause. I could see, we have among us as guests, I could see Avdesh sir also there. So maybe he can give a male perspective to the things that we all females have been talking. Avdesh sir, would you like to give your comments on this take?
See, first of all, Aprajita and Shefali, well done. I think this kind of a seminar is a very refreshing seminar because everyone is talking about COVID and all that, and I think you come out with something to discuss on women issues. So it is quite commendable. So well done to begin with.
Thank you, sir.
I was telling Shefali that I'm quite keen to attend it if I can, because we as an employer employ a lot of women, and I was very keen to understand from your fellow panelists as to how do they see this issue, and maybe there is some learning for us as a company. See, I don't think this is I don't think first of all, Aprajita, this is a man issue or a woman issue. Many of the problems that women face, could be related to men, or they could be related to women themselves. So I would refrain from putting it as a man perspective or a woman perspective. The only thing I can say is that there is a dire need in organizations to see that what all we can do to make the workplace more inclusive.
Correct.
And not only make it more inclusive for women, but make it more inclusive for any class or category of employees who are not well represented. And obviously, to begin with, the gender becomes one of the most important classes where I think that lot more needs to be done in terms of making the workplace more diverse and inclusive. I really don't know what the answer is, because as you rightly said, the difference is that women have to go through certain natural cycles, which when men are not subjected to. So there's some kind of a dropout rate when it comes to women, continuing with employment. But I was listening to some of your women panelists. I think they are fighting against the odds, to remain, remain in the reckoning, and not only remain in the reckoning, but actually continue to do well. So,
coming that from the other gender means a lot to us. And I would circle back to you when we would talk about how the industry deals when we talk, bring up these issues faced by women.
Right.
Prajita,
yes.
Sorry, I know you want to pose this to Vatsala, but I just wanted to give a quick rejoinder to what Avdesh said, if I just may, because I don't want to lose the thread there. Sure. I think I completely agree when he says that it's not a man issue or a woman issue. Because many a times I found that the dropout rate that we talk about women, not being able to move beyond a certain scale in the hierarchy in organizations is their own calling. It is not necessary that all the reasons we have to put it on the shoulder of the men. A lot of women not being able to balance their work at home, not a lot of women not being able to take the stress which comes with the terrain. See, the more you grow up in your hierarchy, the more you become a man manager, and your stakeholder management is the most critical part of your job. So it's not going to be tactical, dealing with everyday operations. It's going to be something far more sensitive and far more crucial.
Right.
So if you're not
understand what you're trying to bring forth, and why I just wanted to bring forth these voice as well, because coming it from both the genders, it makes a better statistical representation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I would just now quickly get on to Vatsala.
Just a minute. Actually, I would like to complete this one.
Sure, ma'am. Yeah.
तो जस्ट मैंने अभी लास्ट में ये कहा था कि कोई मेल कैंडिडेट नहीं मिला, लेकिन आफ्टर 6 मंथ तो मतलब उस एरिया में कोई भी मेल अगर मेरे से कोई क्वेरी पूछते कि आप एचआर से रिलेटेड, लाइक लाइसेंस से रिलेटेड, सो व्हाटएवर द आंसर, व्हाटएवर द सपोर्ट इज फ्रॉम माय साइड, आई विल सपोर्ट देम. सो आज के दिन उसी एरिया में कोई भी मेल अगर किसको सबसे पहले प्रॉब्लम आती है, सबसे पहला कॉल मेरे पास में होता है.
So you have proven that worth, that we are, very much worthy of whatever we are given to, and we would justify it, right? Applause is there.
Right,
yes,
right,
very well, very nicely done. So
in fact,
now
just I'm just coming to Aparajita, just again continuing to what Avdesh sir and Debjani and ma'am said. It is actually not male or female. It's not about male or female. Who is actually responsible. There are multiple factors which are involved. And while we say, when I said in the beginning that we need to create that kind of an environment around us, that environment, first of all, is created by both the parties. Yeah, male or female. That's correct. The organization is created.
Yes.
And yes, it is women who needs to actually step up and counter the fear that is there ingrained in themselves.
Absolutely.
When we talked about the social distancing part in the organization, who defines that? Is it the male employees or the female employees? Yeah, it's none. It is us first.
Absolutely.
Who has to create that boundary, that to what extent I will let a person come closer to me in terms of conversation, in terms of taking the discussion forward or taking advantage of us. It is us who can actually empower or actually take charge of the entire situation. Why women today are facing challenges is not only the fear, it is also the lack of confidence. It is also maintaining the work-life balance, as Debjani ma'am said. Yeah, yes. Anuradha proved herself, and a lot of people now they start coming to her only for any problem that they face in the organization. A similar situation I faced, if I narrate my story. So I come from a very small town. So when I was moving to Delhi for my education, it was a big thing. Oh, you are going to Delhi. So Delhi was a big, fear, not only for the parents but others, that how will you deal with the people that are there, the socio-economic background, people out here, and the environment that is here. So did my MBA, worked at different organizations. However, I'll tell you what, I changed my career twice. I was a market researcher, started from field. Now being a field researcher, I had to move around to different locations, meet different sort of people randomly without knowing how are they. So from there, I changed and moved to qualitative research. Why? Because I wanted that sense of security. So I had to make those choices when I was young, right? Then I moved to another organization where I was randomly I picked up. I got into marketing, marketing strategy job. From there, I moved to L&D. Why? Because I was expecting and I couldn't travel. So there were travel restrictions. I had to, and of course, the kind of feeds I was getting in from people was, you have to take care of the family, you have to manage both the things, otherwise leave your job. Why? It's not right. Different people were there. While my family came in support, and my mom and my husband, they always said, no, you continue, you'll be able to do the job. The organization where I was working came more in support because they had a daycare. So you create that environment.
Ecosystem has to be created.
Right. And I got a role into L&D. And trust me, when in L&D again, I joined one of the organizations sometime back, which I left for again a personal reason. While within 4 months, again, I was promoted as the Center of Excellence head. And there were questions, there were eyebrows which were raised that how can she get promoted? 4 months. And all sorts of questions.
Right.
Yeah. Is it too close to someone there up in the ladder? Is it kind of too appeasing? Is it good? Is she good looking? Maybe that's why. And trust me, it is not only the males who were talking about it. It was my women partners.
Totally echo what you're saying, Vatsala. Totally echo what you're saying. Yes, very well brought together.
Yeah, so it is the complete ecosystem.
And Aparajita, I will want to come in here again after Vatsala.
Sure. Let her finish, ma'am. Just and we'll come to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So all these factors have to be really catered to, addressed, and together we need to address it. It is not just the male counterpart. The females have to do it. So we have to overcome the socialization pressure, the risk aversion pressure. Why we don't take the C-suite? Why we take one step down to manage other responsibilities?
Right.
So
I totally echo to what you were saying. So Debjani, quickly your point, please.
So I, just taking off from what Vatsala said, the same Sas Bahu saga, which we generally see at home, we have a replica of the same in the corporate world, the woman boss and the woman subordinate. I so wish that women knew how to actually come together and get their competences together. But somewhere, even that is a big vacuum in the corporate world, where for some reason, the woman boss starts feeling insecure the moment there are sharp, good young ladies who are climbing the steps. So as started by Avdesh, and now Vatsala is also echoing it, let's not absolve ourselves from the guilt completely. The other point that I'd like to also bring here is we have to be gender agnostic. I've always maintained that it's not a question of gender neutrality, it's a question of gender agnostic. It doesn't matter whether I'm a female or a male, as long as I'm at that level, rubbing shoulders with any member of the fraternity. Tomorrow, for God's sake, if it had been a lion, it is not a male or a female, but a lion sitting in the next chair, I would also rub shoulders with that lion. Absolutely. Now, if I'm vying for that position, if I'm wanting to get the fame of that position, let's not also start making, demands for benefits of being the fairer sex. Then we can't start making excuses that I also want, it's like having, eating getting the cake and eating it too.
Yes. Something like, if you want to play the game, learn the gimmicks of it, else don't play it at all.
Don't play it at all. See, if you're in the game, then play for it. Play for winning it.
Yes.
Otherwise, don't be there, because then it creates a very wrong perception. Yes. And finally, it leads to the statistics that Vatsala was bringing to the table, that a 7% only rises to a 20% and fails to go beyond that.
Yes, and I personally have seen a lot of worthy potential females who have chosen to step back and now cover themselves up with the so-called things, I wish main kar sakti thi, but because of my other issues, I could not. So that's also that's also a curtain that they draw to themselves.
Yeah.
Aparajita, I'll just want to take that forward, and I think there's a question also that's coming up. So it is actually playing the fair game. As she mentioned, that just being on the fairer sex side, we are expecting that we'll get this. We have to be fair in terms of demand that we put across for a promotion, right? While the management, of course, they do decide whether to promote or not to promote, looking at our personal part of it, whether she's young, is she married, maybe she will have a child, how will she manage the thing. All these questions can be countered, or how far does she live? In my last organization, I was questioned that now your responsibility will increase. It's a big platter, so you're going to hit by tsunami. Be prepared for it. I remember one of the leaders telling me that when I became the COE head. So at that point in time, I told him, don't worry. He said, there's a lot of distance that you have to travel, Vatsala. You have to do this and that. I said, perfectly fine, I'll manage. And I did manage. I was successful. So how you counter all this is by your skill sets, by showing your skill sets and your capabilities in the game that you are into.
So I totally agree to all those points, that we have to be fair, we have to show our worthy and things like that. Now let's diverge to a little to the points that, say, for example, what happens to us, just a tiny bit of things there.
Yeah.
What happens to us, say, for at a workplace, if we are proving us worthy, we are showing our capabilities and all those things. What happens if things go wrong? Now let's ponder there a bit, and let's see what are the things or the rules. And Radha ma'am, I'll pass that to you, being a posh consultant. Okay, what are the things that could be done and how we can bring that forth?
Yeah, definitely. At the workplace, as a like the post consultant, I have given the suggestion. So definitely we have to like the prove ourselves, and we have to put all the matters in front of the like the management in a like fair and transparent way. If, for example, maybe the employer is maybe supporting else, maybe the not supporting to the like the fair. So as a post consultant, we have to give the what is the transparency and convince to the employer for that.
Okay. So quickly a take there. So what happens when somebody brings forward such kind of issues or concerns to the top management, and does the top management, which like Vatsala said, is mainly dominated by men, so how are these taken up? So are they taken up really seriously, or are there biases, and how are these?
Are you referring to
Parajita?
Yeah, go ahead, Anuradha, go ahead.
Parajita,
Yes.
actually, like right now, now actually most of the MNCs are coming in India. तो मोस्टली MNC कंपनी है वो इस चीज को बहुत ही सीरियसली लेती हैं और इसको बड़े ही ट्रांसपेरेंट वे में टैकल भी करती हैं.
Right, ma'am. So there, I think Avdesh sir, coming from an MNC perspective, sir, how do you tackle these things when these are brought forward to your eyes?
I just wanted to know, when you say these things, are you, what specifically are you referring to?
So something where things were concerned to sexual harassment, and those kind of things are brought forward to the company's notice. How as a management, which is run majorly by the men-dominated top management, how are these?
No, let me just endorse what Anuradha was saying. There's nothing called, as far as posh cases is concerned, ladies. Let me tell you, there's nothing called men-dominated, decision making there, because posh law is very, very clear. In case you are following the posh law in letter and spirit, then there has to be an internal complaints committee, and that internal complaints committee's investigation and findings are very well defined as per the law. So if you are a company which is extremely careful about implementing the law, then I don't think there is any kind of a flexibility in terms of how the investigation should take place. And I'm sure that most of you are coming from HR, there's an external party also, and that external party has to be, somebody who's coming from, somebody who understands, gender issues, and, who understands women issues, so that's one. But you are right, to an extent, what happens is that ultimately the report of the ICC also has to go to the management.
Correct.
And that is where, some of the recommendations of the ICC, which is the Internal Complaints Committee, can be diluted, or they can be more stricter. Now, it all depends on the culture of the company, and it all depends on what kind of organization is you are referring to. Majority of the companies I have worked in, the senior management, when I say senior management, majority of the time the ICC report will come to me as well, and to my CEO. I think we are completely clear that, one, we are never going to dilute the recommendations of ICC. If we have to do anything, we probably might, make it a little more stringent as compared to what ICC may have recommended. So there is no doubt in my mind. I'll stop there.
I'll take a tangent there. So these are what comes onto the paper, right? The policies and paper, and we would go ahead with them. But my point here is, how are these taken among the culture of the organization, among the people in the organization? So maybe a quick word from Vatsala, and then I'll pass it to Debjani ma'am. Yeah.
So in the organization, Aparajita, today, a lot of organizations, they are becoming aware about and aware and sensitive towards these biases and towards these challenges that women leaders face. And to address that, a lot of unconscious bias has to be, is managed. So there is a fair play that happens. While I say the organizations are being aware now and they are taking steps towards it, they do give equal opportunity whether we talk about hiring, whether we talk about, defining certain policy that, okay, when we talk about promotions, we will consider women employees also, and they will define the ratios there. Yeah. That is there.
So Vatsala, I'm not talking about the promotions and women in employee ratio. I'm just quickly trying to understand. Say, for example, I have put up a concern that, I have been sexually harassed, and there has been a committee set up, and they have given the rules in, favor of me. Now, how the people in the organization would react to it? I have seen cases where, the general people in the organization have reacted so bad to it. Oh, she did this, she did that. It's a biased theory. And end of the day, I have seen a female employee leaving the organization. So absolutely. I would like to have your take.
Absolutely, Aparajita. In fact, that happens a lot. And I think that is something that we need to really work upon. Because the moment female raises the voice, it is taken up by the cost committee. But also, we need to be more prepared and, be strong enough to manage and to handle the rumors that goes around the moment the case is raised. In that particular scenario, it is the organization's responsibility and the cost committee's responsibility, to do it in such a confidential manner that it doesn't move out from the closed doors. The discussion doesn't move out even an inch from the closed door discussion that is happening. Still that happens, still rumors happen, still things happen. And then it is not only the male employee, it is more the female employee. She becomes the victim of it.
Yes. Like ma'am said, the Saas Bahu saga continues.
Absolutely, the Saas Bahu factor. And it is not only, the male counterpart, it is the female counterpart as well. Everybody around, they do talk about in hush-hush ways. The way they would look at you, the way they would deal with you when you're having lunches or in the meetings. Probably in the meetings, people would be more, they will not approach you.
Yes,
at that particular point, they'll be more careful. Yeah. So we women, when we raise our voice, first of all, are we prepared to raise our voice? First of all, very few women raise their voice. Very important point. Yes. Very few women raise their voice, and when they raise it, they need to be strong enough to deal with all the situations and challenges that are going to come up as they raise their voice. Yeah, they need to be strong enough to be normal, because then. First of all, we have to start behaving normally that, okay, there was something wrong. I raised my voice and that has been addressed perfectly fine and everything goes normal. I should start behaving normally. And the moment, yes, these hush-hush voice and these rumors will be going on around me, but with my normalcy, that thing will go down.
Right. Debjani ma'am, your take on to this.
Aparajita, I'm very clear. If the problem is I, which is the woman, solution also has to come from I.
Yeah.
The kind of intellect that we have, the kind of tenacity, determination, competence that women carry today in every field of work, I don't think we need to wait for somebody else to come and find solutions for us. Completely agree with Vatsala and everybody else. I think raising a voice, taking a stand, okay, being honest to yourself, these are some very cardinal principles which a woman has to practice throughout their journey, irrespective of whether I'm a homemaker or I'm somebody who's making a mark in some other profession. I fail to understand why, again, I bring that point back, that when I'm there out in the public race, and I'm actually running the race where the parameters are the same for everybody else, why should I actually expect concessions to be made when I'm actually a little in the dump? That is where I think my resilience has to come to the forefront. That is where I think I need to convince myself that, I can't be playing the game in different ways. And one of the things very nicely that you put forward, how does the culture of an organization react when things like this, when, a woman is perceived to be wrongly done against or something? I think the culture is defined by whom? The culture is defined by all of us.
Right.
Okay, it flows from the top and it percolates down to the bottom.
Right.
When we as leaders, we should be seen as walking the talk. So the very fact that there are women who come across as weak, full of guile, vulnerable, that is also an image that has been orchestrated and permeated over a period of time. If we have to break those stereotypes, then we ourselves have to walk the talk. I think that's the way we have to create the ecosystem within the organization, and that's how the DNA and the culture of the organization is also influenced.
Very well said. Very well said.
That's just one line I want to add, Aparajita, there. That's the unconscious behavior pattern we show always while we are working, while we are dealing with all these situations.
Right.
Be it, addressing those advancements of male counterparts or the bosses or other people around, or the customers in the organization or in a consulting background. We have to create that boundary and say no.
Totally. I echo to what you're saying. And I would just quickly like to answer one of the questions that I could see in the chat box. And, I would like to personally answer that. Somebody has been talking about the challenges or the guilt they face if they ignore the work front or the kid and those things. I would have two examples here. One from my personal life. I come from a working mother, and she works for more than 40 years and retired last year. Trust me, life today is much easier than what it was 40 years ago. And when she could, we women of today, we cannot give up that excuse that, how to raise kids. Today, we have a lot of support, our technology, and life is much easier than what it was at 40 years ago. And I come from a nuclear family. My mother had no support system to raise the kids. And still, I could show myself as an example, which is not a bad, product that she has brought together. That's the first take I would like to say about that guilt. And my mom never had that guilt. And the second thing, what I would like to mention here is about one of the takes that Indra Nooyi, the topmost leader from PepsiCo and all, she once told that she used to feel at times, guilty of the same thing, that she can't spend time with kids. And then she's like, oh, that's okay. I cannot have a lot of guilt, right? She has to learn to deal with it, right? So, again, the same thing, if you try to have that, like everyone has been echoing, if you want to play that fair, don't hide behind the guilt fear.
So, Aparajita, I just want to add here, and
Sure.
I have 3 or 4 of my own team members who surprisingly have logged into this discussion. Soumya, Prachi, Jennifer, they have all been part of my teams in different organizations, and I'm so happy to find them here. Except for 3 months maternity leave, I don't recall taking leave for my child throughout her 18 years of age. She's 18 today, okay? I have never felt guilt because of being a practicing and a hardcore professional mother, okay? Because it was a conscious choice that I exercised. I think a very strong pillar of support was my other half, who told me that you should not learn to take grievances. Yes. You should not hold any kind of grief or feel any kind of, if you've made your choices, then play it out fully. To that extent that at one point of time, when my travel became very large, I used to travel, say, 18, 19 days in a month, almost living out of suitcases. I got into this very bad habit of compensating for the time I could not play by picking up very expensive gifts for my child. And my husband bang came there and said, stop this nonsense. What are you trying to do? This is a very wrong way of upbringing. Let her understand that her mother works very hard. You're not traveling because of any luxury. You're not flying today to Dubai to have a holiday and a shopping trip. It's hardcore 3 days of meeting, boxed inside rules, determining strategy, and you'll only have to carry those KRAs for the rest of the year. So for God's sake, give the right messaging. Don't do it. Believe you me, Aparajita, today at 18 years of age, I look at my daughter. She's, by the grace of God, I don't think, if I had been a homemaker, I could have done more justice to it.
Yes, I echo what you say. Anuradha ma'am, so what's your take onto it, coming from a totally different manufacturing setup kind of experience that you come with? So, that becomes a little more challenging at times physically than that typical corporate setup.
Yeah, definitely in manufacturing, because you are the 24 hours, 365 days.
Right.
Because whenever is required, you have to. And right now, even now the corona is going on. Right. So in these days also, because in this area, because I have the very good relation with the governments and even the local authorities, and as well as all of the teams. So right now अभी बावल में जितने भी permissions मिली हैं, maybe first company मेरी है जिसमें permissions मिली है. So अभी ऑलमोस्ट जितने भी आसपास के, क्योंकि बिकॉज आई एम द ज्वाइंट सेक्रेटरी ऑफ द RCCI, रेवाड़ी चैम्बर ऑफ इंडस्ट्री, दैट इज द Bawal, Harweda and Rewari, and as well as the HSIDC members of joint secretary and the joint secretary of the Honda car of the all over India. So बहुत ही अच्छा, मतलब एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के साथ बहुत ही अच्छा रिलेशंस है, लेकिन क्योंकि आपको फैमिली और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में 24 आवर्स 365, क्योंकि रात को आपके पास में कभी 12 बजे भी फोन आ रहा है, 2 बजे भी आ रहा है, इवन जैसे लाइक फॉरेनर्स को आपको अटेंड करना है, मे बी उनके कहीं फ्लाइट में स्ट्रक हो गए, वो भी एंटरटेन करना है, और घर पे हस्बैंड IT में है तो उनको भी कि भाई आप यहाँ पे आपके इतने कॉल क्यों आ रहे हैं, तो वो सारी चीजें भी मैनेज करनी है। और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी में तो जो हमारे इवन ऑपरेटर्स हैं वो बिल्कुल ही, मतलब उनकी जो एजुकेशन लेवल है बहुत ही लो लेवल।
So it's a different kind of people आप डील करते हो जिनसे।
फीमेल के लिए सबसे अच्छा टच क्या है कि हम बहुत ही सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर होते हैं, तो एवरीबडी आपसे बहुत ही ज्यादा कनेक्ट होते हैं। सो बीइंग ए फीमेल, अभी एक्चुअली MNCs फीमेल्स को प्रमोट कर रही हैं, तो हम ये भी नहीं कहे कि हम बिल्कुल पिछड़ रहे हैं, इसमें हमारा भी हाथ है कि हम ऊपर नहीं आ रहे। लाइक मैं आपको एग्जांपल देना चाह रही हूँ कि अगर कहीं पे सराउंडिंग NCR में अगर IR में फीमेल की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है तो ऑलमोस्ट मेरा CV चारों तरफ घूमता है, और कोई ऐसे कैंडिडेट्स ज्यादा नहीं आ रहे कि नेक्स्ट IR में कोई नहीं है। तो डेफिनेटली छोटे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इश्यूज में आपको बहुत कुछ उसके करना होता है, लेकिन बीइंग ए फीमेल आपको अगर आगे ऊपर आना तो इन सब चीजों से, इन सर्कमस्टांसेस से उठ के डेफिनेटली ऊपर आना पड़ेगा, और एक बैरियर भी आपको, कभी आपको सॉफ्ट होना पड़ेगा तो कभी आपको स्ट्रिक्ट भी होना पड़ेगा। तो उस चीज को मेंटेन।
इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट दैट आई वुड टेक फ्रॉम दैट इज, एक जो आप कह रहे हैं कि यस ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि हम लोग आगे नहीं आ रहे, एंड देयर आर सम सेक्टर्स व्हिच वी चूज ओवर द अदर सेक्टर्स, राइट। हमें लगता है कि ये सारे सेक्टर्स वुड बी मच बेटर फॉर अस, एंड दैट्स वेयर द रेशियो और द परसेंटेज ऑफ फीमेल्स आर इंक्रीजिंग than a lot many other sectors,
right?
And the second very well point that you made was, you know, the very tactful female nature that we know how to handle men, कब ठंडा कब गर्म होकर उसको tactfully चीजों को निकालना। So yes, we know that you know, that's in our genes, so yes, that works a little better with us. One of the question that brings to one of the question that I could see on the chat box is what should be 3 or 4 focus area when organization want to develop women leaders? You know, that has come from Ramakrishnan. Yes, Debjani ma'am, please.
I just want to request Ramakrishna here, because I read that question earlier on. Let us not try and segregate today, you know, leadership development qualities only for women or men. Because I really don't.
This has been the theme all throughout the talk that we have been talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I think today we are at a level playing field where if we find 3 areas that a women may, by virtue of their nature, might need a little bit hand-holding, same is the case for men. Okay, men demonstrate aggression a lot more at the workplace. Their ability to join team members together through empathy and compassion sometimes is a lot lacking when it comes to the women bosses. So if we find areas which need to be improved and handheld, then I think there are enough for the men as well as for the women.
Correct.
I would think
ma'am, I would...
Just a concluding point. From an L&D perspective, I would suggest for organizations to put together compatible programs where there is a bit of takeaway, you know, for both sexes. And together, if they come and meet with those in those programs, I think the benefit is actually far more than segregating the two, you know, from those programs.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Another question that I want to pose to Vatsala is what Prachi has been talking about, you know, the role of a role model. You know, she has been talking about that, you know, that there should be some role model installation to encourage and bring forth more of the female working. So what's your take on to that?
Aparajita, Prachi, there are enough role models around that we can focus on and we can look up to, whether it is Indra Nooyi, whether it is even Mother Teresa for a matter
so
of
the
fact.
Role of a role model.
Role of a role model. So I would say the biggest role of a role model or a role model is you yourself. Yeah, you can gain it from yourself as you're working. As you're working and managing at home. you are exhibiting multitasking. You are exhibiting collaboration when you are managing home, when you are in office, dealing with your colleagues, dealing with your peers, dealing with your superiors, and also dealing with your kids and husband and relatives and in-laws and parents, everyone. Right. What role model are you looking forward to? No, we don't need any role model. We are ourselves.
Vatsala, for that, I would bring forth one of my very favorite quote that I use. It is the same egg. If you put pressure and force from outside, Correct. It would break. And if there is that force and energy that comes from inside, a new life comes through. So Absolutely. It is same. So the role model, if we look outside, it could be momentarily. If we look inside, look within, that would take us to a much longer run.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it is one analogy that I'd like to draw exactly in line with what Vatsala is saying. As a Bengali, we celebrate Durga Puja in a very large way. I don't look at Durga as a religious factor. I look at Durga as those 10 hands, that Shakti, that power, that embodiment of the super person that you are. I only go to her in that time and I say, just keep your blessings on, so that we are able to demonstrate the same thing as you do through your 10 hands. And we are no less. If you look at it, there is a Durga sitting in each one of us.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Exactly Aprajita is also a name of Durga.
That's my favorite analogy.
Yeah, very well said. So, but we are almost towards the end of our time, and, we could not even imagine that how quickly the time passed through, and we all discussed and, talked about so many things and, with such lovely audience. So may I have a few last questions from the audience if somebody wants to come online or somebody wants to talk about something? Anyone from the audience? Or you want to put some questions or, some comments?
I think it would be great to hear from our audience and leaders there that what they have gained and what could be the key takeaways.
Yeah.
Or any insights for that matter.
Yes. Any insights.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me? This is Pooja.
Yeah.
Hi, Pooja.
Hi, Pooja.
Hi. So I work for actually a search firm, and I happen to be Aprajita's friend, and I decided to come online and hear all of you, and it's been actually a very interesting discussion, and I think I basically agree with all the points that have been discussed. I don't have a question, just a point that I thought, just wanted to highlight one point, and it was raised that we are ourselves responsible for, what we do, whether we want to move ahead or not, very rightly said. Just one point there, why women are not able to sort of come up to the level, not just in India, but globally. It's also, I feel, and I guess it's true, is also the social conditioning. Not just that women have as they are brought up, but also what social conditioning and what men are told when they are brought up. So it is both ways. How we are brought up, what we are told, what we see right from the beginning, where, what men hear and what they are expected to do or behave, and what women hear and what they're expected to do and behave are two different things. And that's where, as adults, the mental clashes happen. I think that's one point which probably was not brought up. But it'll be interesting for all the audience to understand that it is the social conditioning, and it's
absolutely, Pooja. That constitutes that constitutes the ecosystem. So yes, very well said. How, like we have been talking about, it's our duty to fight that battle out, be worthy, but at the same time raise the other counterpart in a manner so that the things start changing at an ecosystem level. Well,
absolutely. Just to add on to what Pooja just mentioned, it is these unconscious behavior patterns that gets ingrained in us because we have been brought up like that. Yes. Whether it's us or our male counterparts, my brother or my husband or my boss or whosoever, it is not something that we have learned. It is a conditioning part that is there. And when I say that, we have to work towards it, we as leaders have to work towards changing the environment and the ecosystem, not only in the organization, but at home also, where by raising my daughter that way, wherein it is said that, wherein I treat her that, you are equal. You can equally play football. You can equally play badminton. Yeah. whether I want her to be a space engineer or I tell her that yes, you can also fly a plane while you're wearing a pink t-shirt. It is these things that need to, be managed well by our.
Yeah, these are the unconscious biases. No, it's the question of the Barbie doll versus the Leo Mattel Hot Wheels cars.
Absolutely.
Only the boys will play with the cars and the girls will have to have a Barbie in the closet. Now, I don't know who made those rules actually.
Totally agree. We have to come out of this pink versus blue kind of mindset. So, Bob, keeping in view of all the thoughts and the ideas that we bounced off, and for all the lovely audiences who heard all of us speak about these many issues, this is not just an hour-long discussion that we can have. These are life-changing discussions that we can have, and we have to live through each moment throughout our lives and prove each point of these. Yeah. So, keeping in wake of the time limit that we had set up for all of us, it was amazing to have all of you on our panel today and bringing forth, making this discussion really lively. I thank each one of you personally, and it was great interacting with you all, and looking forward to more insights and more power to all of us. Any last closing note, and then we can sign off.
Thank you.
I think thank you, Aparajita and Shefali, for organizing this. I think in some way we also feel good about voicing these concerns.
Yes.
As a part of the fraternity.
Thank you so much, Aparajita, for bringing the panel together, and lovely audience here. I hope that, we see more women leaders. The numbers keep increasing. As I mentioned in the beginning, from 17, 18, 19, it is increasing. We are at 29%. Let's hope that this goes up further. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Aparajita and Shefali. And definitely all the women will come up.
Sure, ma'am. So over to you, Shefali, and thanks for organizing this.
Aparajita, you know how I am. So many women together on a panel can't sit quiet for so long. So I have, without taking your permission, I have unmuted everybody. And can we all say together, we women rock?
We women rock.
We women rock.
I think we all rock. We have men also, so we all rock.
We rock. We all rock.
Yeah, we rock. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for staying with us today. Thank you
Have
so
a nice
much.
day.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.